Monday.
You promised me we weren't going to do this.
I promise a lot of things. Let's
That's
make.
true. This is the least of your sins, really.
Well, here we are. Monday podcast. Everybody loves a Monday podcast
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because that's how you start your week on the right foot, Paul, isn't it?
It's rarely how I do it, but I could see where that would be better.
It's the optimism that keeps me going here. That is absolutely.
Oh boy, that's a good title for a book. Optimism Optimization, a guide to well-being.
I just found your next New York Times bestseller, Paul Thurrott, right there.
Well, my version of that book would be very short.
Well, here's the keys. You just have AI. Just like go to ChatGPT and write this book.
Yes. Oh boy. Yep.
You know what else you should be optimistic about?
Mm-hmm.
The episode of today's sponsor. The episode of today's sponsor. Wow. You can tell it's Monday because it's supposed to be the sponsor of today's episode, which is Fortra. Fortra's Alert Logic offers the most comprehensive managed detection and response coverage for public companies, software as a service, on-premises, and hybrid environments. To learn more, head on over to alertlogic.com, which you can find those links in. Well, I point down in the description.
I know,
but
as
you
a
have
pet peeve
pointed out,
of mine. Where is the description, Brad?
They could be there. They could.
Could
The
be over there.
descriptions could be
Could
everywhere.
be. Yeah, there's a description somewhere. We know that.
Yes, and it will all point to alertlogic.com.
Mm-hmm.
It will. You know what's also alerting is if you're an Apple shareholder, and some of the headlines coming out this week that, Paul, did PCs have any sort of post-pandemic slump?
They sure did.
Are Macs immune to this?
I would just say that once again, the Macs are leading the industry in something. Unfortunately, in this
Gosh.
case, yep, it's by almost double the shortfall that has occurred in the PC industry. But in the worst of it, I off the top of my head, I want to see we did see some 18 to 24% drops
Yeah,
year over year
right.
in the PC market, right?
Mhm.
Depending on the maker. According to IDC, Mac sales fell. Was it 40%, something like that?
Yeah. That's
Good stuff.
that's what you expect. Here's the other interesting thing, too. So supposedly at, what do they call it? Their WWDC in June, they are going to be announcing their VR, AR, whatever headset that is supposed to be coming. The industry loved that stuff 18, 24 months ago. We are now sort of past the hype wave. Now, granted, Apple is Apple, and Apple can do whatever Apple does.
Yeah, yeah.
And they might come out with something great. They very well could. However,
is there a great $3,000 Apple product
well,
that's going to
this
set
is
the
the-
world on
yeah,
fire? I
that's-
mean, really?
the 3 iPhones worth of.
No, you're right. You shouldn't discount Apple because they have done it again and again and again. Although their hits have been more, singles and doubles in the Tim Cook era than grand slams like they had under Steve Jobs. But yeah, we just I think we did, right? We made fun of the guy from Microsoft who came up with the opposite of the innovator's dilemma for things, claiming that companies that came first to market always won.
Which he is getting roasted on Twitter by
as he should be.
Literally everything.
Provably false. In fact, I challenge anyone to find a major example of that being true. It's crazy in the tech industry. So, okay, they're not first to market. We've seen how it's kind of come and gone with other companies or how it's fared.
Mm-hmm.
Could they hit it out of the park? Maybe, but the thing that's going to make VR or MR or AR or whatever successful is not a $3,000 headset, right? It's something that's priced accordingly to what the market is. What does an Oculus cost or whatever? And it's not like $3,000. I mean, I get that there's an Apple Premium. I think we all understand too. Look, this is Gen 1. There are going to be cheaper versions over time, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see. Listen, we're still waiting for Google to come out with a tablet, right? That they announced almost a year ago at I/O. And now they did say 2023 at the time, and it's still 2023. But seriously, guys, this is what excitement is that?
Yeah.
How does Google square any hardware excitement with the fact that we know they're cutting back in hardware, and they haven't said this out loud, but they're almost certainly cutting back in anything Google Assistant based, right? How do you trust this company?
Yeah.
To do anything at this point, So I don't. We'll see. But we live in, the Apple Mac thing that you brought up front is an example of the downturn the industry's in right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that we can trust any of these companies. In fact, I'm going to be writing about this. I started this over the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
It really kind of comes down to, like, how can you trust any ecosystem right now in the digital space
Yeah.
when all these companies are cutting back and looking at the balance sheet and saying, where can we cut
Mm-hmm.
to get the most value, so to speak, right? And Microsoft has a movies and TV service. Can anyone explain to me why? Are you not worried about that? I was always worried about it, but
Yeah.
this would be the time to get rid of it. Google hardware, when they first announced, like when they were like, oh, we're going to scale back the hardware. Did every Pixel fan on earth not have a little squeeze moment inside where they're like, oh God, here it comes. I mean, you can't trust any of these companies. So we'll see what happens, but I don't know. Right?
We'll
It's got
find
check
out.
time.
WWDC isn't too far away.
Yeah, but they could announce it and not ship until 2024.
Yeah,
right? This could be getting the end, because it seems like this. Well, no, this thing has literally been delayed several times.
Yeah.
It looks like it has been delayed again. I mean, at the very earliest, you're not going to see hardware in stores until the end of the year, right? I mean, I don't know. But we're just the train has left the station, and this thing is happening. It seems like, by all reports, Tim Cook has sort of said whatever to the people inside Apple who've complained about it, that we're going forward with this.
Yep.
Listen, we complain a lot about Microsoft and AI, but that's a way better bet than Apple and VR. I'm sorry. It just is. And that's not a partisan statement. Like, I'm a Microsoft guy. I mean, objectively, which force would you rather back right now?
Well, I think the underlying argument that we don't know yet is everything comes down to form factor. If they announce a pair of Ray-Bans that does the whole kit and caboodle, yeah, that's great. But we don't think
it's going to be
Ray-Bans,
Brent. I think, have you seen the movie Ready Player One?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, no, have you ever seen an Oculus Rift or whatever they're called now? It's going to be something like that, right?
Yeah, I agree. And PlayStation couldn't sell VR to gamers.
What?
So
I'm sorry.
PlayStation, the PSVR 2 isn't selling as well, and that is a very targeted niche product to a very dedicated crowd.
And so, by the way, if you had to pick one reason why that thing is not selling well compared to its predecessor, what would you say the reason is?
It's the price. It's like $600.
It's too expensive, and that's what Apple's doing with this VR thing. That's exactly right.
Now, Apple customers typically will pay more money for things, but if it's $3,000,
the best values in the Apple ecosystem, though, seriously, are things like the iPhone or iPhone Pro, the MacBook Air. I'm just trying Apple TV. Well, actually, that's not a great example, but I'll just say these products that basically cost the same as products like them from somewhere else. Those do exist, right? I mean, we all talk about how expensive Apple stuff is. Actually, the Apple TV is probably an example of a product that's a little more expensive than most of the things it competes with. But people who in that ecosystem would pay that. It's not like it's exorbitant or whatever, but they have expensive Macs, obviously. But if you want to get into this ecosystem, $999, $1199 maybe for whatever the M2 thing is. That's what a good Ultrabook costs, guys. So that's not unreasonable.
You know what I'd argue is the best value that Apple makes today? Now, there's a caveat, which you'll know as soon as I say it. You know what I think it is? I think it's the Apple Watch SE.
Yes. Yep. 100%.
As long as you have an iPhone, it's the best value.
Right. So this thing is what, $199, I think?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And so having bought an Apple Watch Series 8 last September, and I bought the full bore one. I bought the bigger one, so I added some cost there. Like, what are the things I get? I want to say it's VO2 Max and something else, something related to, I don't remember exactly. It's a couple things. And I went into it open. I knew what I was doing, but honestly, when I look back at 6 months of usage, I'm like, 99% of what I need is in the SE, and you're right, a great value.
It is $249.
$249. Okay. Yeah, but the big one is I think $400 to start, and I think the one I got was probably $450 because I got the larger size, something like that. Yeah. It's not $200 worth of stuff,
No, it's not. I've got, I don't know, whatever the latest one is.
This is the gateway to stuff. Like, you can now subscribe to Apple Fitness Plus or whatever, and it doesn't matter which one you got. Like, it works. That stuff just works. You want to track your exercise, whatever. It's good.
And it'll be good that we're back tomorrow.